Yeah, that was the song Disgrace off the upcoming Retaliate LP titled 4. It went up for pre-order last Friday on indecisionrecords.com. So go over there, handle business. Pre-order that shit, pick up a copy for your best friend, your significant other, your favorite cousin, and maybe treat yourself to a test press, you know? Christmas is coming. Handle that for yourself. Verity, what do you think about that song?
Yeah, what up, Zach? Retaliate 2020,
Woo.
18 years later, still bringing the hardcore reality.
Yeah.
I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah. How you feel about this record compared to the other ones?
You know, honestly, I think that this is some of our best material to date. We've got some of the fastest songs we've ever written. This record's got the mosh. This record's got guest vocals by some of the heavy hitters in the game. It's got some feel-good tunes. Definitely something that everyone's going to want to pick up, because as soon as this COVID ends and we start throwing some rage-ors, you're not going to want to be standing on the sidelines. You're going to want to know these songs. You're going to want to know these lyrics. You're going to want to pile on, slam, and stage dive, baby.
Yeah, and you're going to want to look out for Verity in the parking lot, because he's the man with the tequila inside the baseball bat. So you got a pregame.
Always, man.
Pregame and then hit the pit. What's up? Yeah, dude.
That's it, man.
So
let it all out, baby.
You got to bring the heat.
Always.
But yeah, go to indecisionrecords.com and pre-order that. It is much appreciated. I appreciate everyone out there supporting the podcast and supporting the projects I do. Thank you for buying the Narcore for Life LP. That rules. I hope you love it. And I hope you love this as much, because it's something that we are all very proud of. And so that's that. This week on the pod, we are doing a side A versus side B. So I have some of my best buddies on, and we're gonna look at some of my favorite records, and we're gonna decide which is better, the side A or the side B. It's super fun. I hope you all enjoy it. If there's some records you want us to do next time, make sure you email me, 185milessouth@gmail.com. Let us know what records you want us to do, and I think you're going to enjoy this one. Please support the podcast by subscribing to it wherever you listen to it. Also, if you have time, like it, rate it, review it. All that stuff goes a long way. I don't know how the fuck podcasts get like charted or whatever, or like what the metric is, but I know that stuff matters. So if you can help out, that is awesome. If you want to go the extra mile, you can go to patreon.com/185milessouth. $1 gets you behind the paywall, and I'm trying to do a bonus episode for basically every interview podcast. So after an interview, I get some buddies together. We talk about the podcast. We go through the discography of the person I interviewed, and these are some of my favorite episodes. I think it's the best stuff we put out, so check that out. $1 gets you behind the paywall. If you can do more, do more. It is much appreciated. The Patreons are the people that keep this pod alive. And let's get on with the pod. Verity, hit him with an oof. Yeah.
"185 Miles South", a hardcore punk rock podcast.
What's up, everyone? This week on the pod, we are going to do something new. And what we're doing is we're doing side A versus side B. We're vinyl nerds. And so, like, it's a cool thing about a record I've always thought when I've made records is, like, the sequencing of the album, how the songs flow from one to the other. But then it's also interesting, like, weighing out your record. Like, if you're used to listening to things on vinyl, I've always thought, like, obviously you think about the first song on your record. But then I also have always thought about, like, what's the first song on side B? Like, I want it to hit too. And then there's lots of records out there. Obviously the first one we do, we're going to do Faith versus Void, which is, an age-old topic in punk and hardcore. But, there's lots of records like that where, which one's better, side A, side B. So I chose a bunch of records. We're going to go into it. We're all going to discuss which side we like more, and it should be fun. Helping me out this week. You know him, you love him. He's episode 1. He's the legend. He's Joe Rivas. What's up, Joe?
The legend. Hi.
Yeah. Also, Daniel Sant from Over My Dead Body. What's up, Daniel?
What's going on? Hey, since we're talking about vinyl, I want to tell everyone out there, pre-order that Retaliate, indecisionrecords.com. Boom.
That's what's up. Yeah. Went up last Friday. Indecisionrecords.com. Check it out. Also, a man that put out more than just records. He put out a fucking book. It's Ben Edge, aka Bedge. What's up, Bedge?
What up? I wish I had a cool catchphrase to say after you introduce me, but I don't. It's just what up.
What if you just go cold chillin'?
Cold chillin'
on Amazon.
Man, on Amazon. Yeah. Man, Chuck D loves my book. It's crazy. He has this radio show that you can hear online, and he's just like reading like 5 minutes. Like for 5 minutes, he's just like reading out of my book. It's like, all right, I'm just going to read you this book today. Like, wow. Anyway, that's very. I'm totally honored. Public Enemy is my favorite rap group ever.
Who is Chuck D, Ben?
I don't know. Some guy. I don't know what to think, but we're talking about hardcore today. So
yeah, tune into the Patreon episode. I'm going to read everyone Goodnight Moon. You can listen to it every night before you go to sleep. All right, so let's jump in. The first record that I chose is the no-brainer of punk and hardcore, side A versus side B. But I want your guys' opinions. And everyone out there, 2 things. First off, make sure that you respond to us or send me an email or whatever, social media. Let me know what sides you like of these selections, because it's always fun when you just chime in on like the Super 7s and so forth. I love that shit. And also,
we'll put it up as a poll too, Zach. Like on the stories, we'll do which side do you want, Faith or Void. Like we'll make it a poll that shows the percentages.
Apparently episode 6 is making orders now. But yeah, the other thing that I want you guys to do is Jesus. Okay. Also send me in whatever, records you want us to do next time. If you enjoy this podcast, send in what records you want us to compare. Side A, side B. There's so much shit. My list was huge. We're going to get to like 10-ish this podcast, but there's a ton. But I'll tell you what, if you're a Patreon or you're just a solid listener, hit me up and I'll bump your shit to the top of the list. You know what I mean? Let's get into it. But yeah, number 1, we got to do Faith, the Faith Void split, Discord Records. And Ben, why don't you take it away?
This is a funny one to start with because I didn't know this until recently, but the pressing plant acknowledges the Void side as the A side, but the record label Discord believes the Faith side is the A side. So, I mean, we're going with Faith being the A side and Void being the B side. But even if you look at Discogs, if you look at the first press, it has Void as the A side. But this is like a pretty cool. It's probably the best split record ever. It's maybe the first one I can think of. Am I forgetting something like really obvious that came before this? I can't think of anything.
This is the obvious.
Yeah, it's like the yin and yang of hardcore. You have like the Faith representing creation and Void representing destruction. In very general terms, I didn't make that up, but I like that, and I'm going with it. And if you want, here's the thing about how this record is rated. Like at this point, it's like 9-1 Void to Faith. Like most people are going with Void. Well, and I don't know if it's always been that way. I think it was maybe at some point it was a little bit more even. And then here's the thing about why the Void side is actually better. If you want something like the Faith side to scratch that itch that the Faith provides, the style of music they do, you can listen to a band like Minor Threat. But if you want something that sounds like Void, there's nothing else. It's like that's it. Void is like an island. They're like singular. So Faith becomes unique sounding later on when they do the Subject to Change 12-inch, but they're not there yet with this one. And then the other thing is Void has this reputation of making music that sounds like it's going to fall apart at any second. But if you listen on headphones, which I did last week preparing for this episode, if you listen to the Faith side, they sound like they're going to fall apart too at any minute. But it doesn't really serve the style they're playing as well, because, you know, if Faith played these same exact songs tighter, like if they were more well rehearsed, it would probably come out better. But if Void played really tight, it just wouldn't even be the same band. Like, I don't even know what it would sound like. So it's like the fact that both these bands are really loose, it favors Void over Faith. And but I love Faith, and I'm sick of the Faith bashing. So let's put an end to that. So I'm going with side B, Void.
Yeah. You know, I think that it was even, like, when I got into hardcore and so forth, but it switched to, like, side Void being the super popular one, like, maybe around the year 2000, 2001, you know, when, like, the more negative wave of, like, hardcore came, you know, because you're tracing it back somewhere. I do want to say that, you know, what you're talking about a little bit, Ben, I think that, like, sometimes this record now gets looked at as, like, Faith is like the gnarly side, and like, excuse me, Void is like the gnarly side, and Faith is kind of like the safe, straightforward, like in the lane side. The fucking tone of the Faith side is like one of my favorites. Like, there's actually like a lot of fuzz in that guitar, and the way the bass is set, like right underneath that fuzz, it's like almost the perfect mix of like those two instruments for like an older hardcore sound. I absolutely love it. In like re-listening to this, you know, I've listened to this album a million times, but like going in to listen to it as a practice for this pod and like really trying to dissect it, like that just stood out to me, that I think that this Faith tone is one of the best ever. But the
It's
Void,
flanger.
yeah. But the Void side is, like Ben says, you know, it has a reputation as like it's almost falling apart, but it's crazy and aggressive, and you know, hits versus hits. Just Void, my rules. Fuck it. It's one of the greatest hardcore songs of all time. I'm going side Void. Daniel, let's shoot it to you.
I'm going side Faith. I do remember when this sea change came in, where everyone started jocking the Void side, and it was probably around like 2002, 2003, where it started. You know, I think even before that, the Faith side was regarded in a little bit higher than the Void side, I feel, from my social circle. The Faith, I think, is pretty perfect, almost snotty early hardcore, with some like really fun, like tuneful parts that come out, like on like Face to Face. And I feel like, you know, like the songs Trapped and What You Think, like the verse cadence is completely ripped off by Cro-Mags on Don't Tread on Me. Like the verse cadence is like almost identical, but that's just something I noticed when listening to it with a much, you know, more studious ear to do this. I really love the interesting guitar that the Faith break into, tease you with, that obviously, like Ben says, is developed much more for Subject to Change, and then beyond that for, like, you know, all the Revolution Summer stuff that came later. And then the song Confusion, I really love. It's probably, besides Your Ex, my favorite song on the Faith side, because it's like, it's almost like Circle Jerks worship, you know, which, you know, were contemporaries, but it definitely sounds like that. Now, the Void side might be a bit more exciting musically, and I do think they have a better recording than the Faith side. But listening to it, it's like, it's interesting what you say, Ben, because I feel like the drums can't keep up with the shredding of the guitar and bass. Like the drums just seem to be like a little bit of a weak point, even though it sounds great. I mean, both sides fucking rip, but the Faith is my pick.
Yeah, I think that like that's the hardest thing of this practice, and this is going to be the only record where we're doing like a split record in this round one. Choosing one against the other, I think that like now people high rate the Void so much that like the Faith side almost it doesn't get like the credit it deserves, and so I like that you mentioned that about the Void side, Daniel, that you still like think it's rad. Because like this is just one of the greatest hardcore records ever. Like the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, yeah. I also think the Faith, and I mean the artwork on both sides is fucking sick too. But I also think the Faith have a little bit more to say. Also.
Yeah, getting lyrical. Episode 1. Tell us who's right and who's wrong.
Daniel's right. You guys are wrong. The Faith crushes the Void side. People like the Void now because it's the trendy thing to do. That's it. That's it. I'm not saying that those songs aren't great. They are great, and I love them. I've always loved them. But those Faith songs are they are the beginning of melodic hardcore. Now, My Threat certainly touches that stuff, but not like this. Not Dag Nasty is built off of this more than they are off of Minor Threat, in my opinion. Because of the stuff that Mike, that Hampton does, the guitarist for, like, because of that, because of the aggressiveness. Now the recording and the playing on the Faith side is much to be desired for, because they're 13, 14-year-old kids at this time, 15 maybe. So
yeah.
So they're youngsters. When Subject to Change comes out, a year and a half later, they're a little bit older. They're more mature in their playing, so it sounds a lot cleaner. Ian threw some more money into it, and he spent a whole lot of time on Subject to Change, where this was more of a, I'm going to say a demo, but they just released actual demos for all this stuff too. So, not just a couple years ago, but I don't know. I like the Face side better. Void is great. I'm going to walk back a little bit of what I said about them not being spectacular, but it is certainly a trendy thing to choose the Void side.
Damn, Bedge, just following the trends. How about that?
Well, you too.
Yeah.
We're the trendy ones.
Yeah.
We have a tie.
It's cool. A tie. So the people got to break. The people got to break that tie.
Yeah.
Some of the Void demo stuff is like super rad too, because like I Hate the Gangs on Organized Sports. It's like that would have been one of the best songs on their side, I think, and the demo version's better. It doesn't have
agree.
But hey, what can you do? All right, 2-2 on that. Let's move on to the next one. Now, this one came out of left field for you guys, I'm sure. We're going with the 25 to Life self-titled 7-inch. And so there's the 25 to Life demo 7-inch, and then there's this. And 1994 on Striving for Togetherness, the 7-inch. And what do you guys think about it? Daniel, let's go to you first.
Isn't this referred to as the GOAT? Like the best record of hardcore ever?
No, their best stuff is...
I know, I'm joking.
The Keeping It Real CD is like the best, but it never comes out on vinyl. And it has a couple of these... It has one of the songs. Maybe two. And the recording is like way, way better. And then the Strength or Unity 10-inch. I think those two are like the ones that I ride for. And the demo and this, I like them a lot. But the recording leaves a lot to be desired. So I think that for that 25 to Life sound, they benefit from like a real good recording. But yeah, sorry to cut you off, Daniel. Go ahead.
That's all right. The recording for this is garbage. But what is... Okay, I'm going to give you my reason side B wins. Side B has two songs where the mosh part comes and he does a pit call out on the recording. What's up, motherfuckers?
So good.
And and I enjoyed it. To be honest, I enjoyed those parts more than anything else on the record, and because also Rick to Life has not really developed his voice at this point. He's singing in a much more what they would have called at the time old school way. But I liked the songs on side B better, and I enjoyed the pit call outs on the final two songs. Made my enjoyment of what is 25 to Life and what should be 25 to Life better. It feels like they were starting to gain their sounds there.
All right, that's one for side B. Joe, let's go to you.
Yeah, I got side B too. Can't Believe is probably my favorite song of the four. Inside Knowledge is pretty nice. But yeah, Daniel mentioned about Rick's voice. Like side A has more of that, growly whatever thing that he's doing. Side B is more, as he said, old school vocal styling. So I liked that better. And side A is just not for me. I'll just listen to Pantera instead.
Also, if I may say something, I was very disappointed that all the songs were spelled correctly and they weren't with numbers in the titles and all kinds of stuff. So, I really wanted Inside Knowledge to be like with a 3 at the end and all kinds of stuff. So,
Burned by Duff Flame.
Yeah.
I was 90% sure that it was Burned by Duff Flame. But I'm gonna have to go pull the 7-inch. I'm hoping that Discogs is wrong because I did think it was. I thought it was Burned by the Flame, but anyway, Badge, let's go to you.
How did Craig Ahead produce a record this bad? I just noticed that Craig Ahead did backing vocals and producer, and he's like this great bass player who is in all these legendary bands. And this record is terrible. And Inside Knowledge sounds like a Judge song if you took out the fast parts and had a bad singer. It almost, tell me, actually, Zach, this is a question for you. Do you think this sounds more like a New York record or more like a Cleveland record?
Oh, well, I guess that's really hard to say because my favorite New York stuff and my favorite Cleveland stuff almost kiss. So I think that's why that's why I love this.
Yeah, it sounds very Cleveland. But Cleveland was influenced by New York, so it's kind of all it's like splitting hairs. But I'm going with side A because to me Short Fuse is the least worst song, and that is on side A.
Yeah. So for me, this comes down to I think Short Fuse is a great song. I absolutely love it. When it's better recorded, it's even better. And I think Inside Knowledge is a great song. I love the rhythmic hits like on the verse, and then like Rick is pretty like low key. It's got a little bit of flow in there. Just like he's riding right on top of it. So this comes down to Short Fuse versus Inside Knowledge to me. Two of my favorite 25 to Life songs. But I can't deny Short Fuse. I think that's one of the best songs. So I'm going side A on the 25 to Life self-titled 7-inch. So we got another tiebreaker. The people. Go ahead, Daniel.
I was going to say, it's interesting that Ben just hit us with the Craig Ahead facts, because this time period was when Sick of It All recording Scratch the Surface, arguably their most produced, like, amazing sounding LP. And then he goes, yeah, I'll take what I learned in the studio and then do the opposite.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I wonder how much time they had. Like they might have only had like 6 hours in the studio or something, like a 6-hour block.
Can you imagine what the negotiations with Rick in the studio were like?
Yeah, it's like it's $400 for 6 hours. It's like, how about $350 and a few shirts?
Yeah.
I wonder what his level of producer actually was on this too, though, because there's another producer on the record. So.
Oh yeah, Tim. Let's see who Tim is. Tim Giles. Yeah, some guy in New Jersey. Oh, he did Agnostic Front, right Upstart. That's pretty produced sounding. Huh.
Yeah, it's an Epitaph record. But yeah, I mean, for all we know, like Craig stopped by to say what's up, and they're like, we got to get Craig's name on the record. You know, like who knows? But yeah, okay, that one's split too. 2 side A, 2 side B. All right, let's go on to the third record that I chose. And this is another classic. We talked about it a little bit on the Los Angeles Super 7, so you can go listen to that again if you want to hear a deep dive into it. But this is The Weirdos off the We Got the Neutron Bomb 7-inch. And that is side A, We Got the Neutron Bomb, and side B, Solitary Confinement. And I think that this argument is almost as classic as arguing Faith versus Void, personally. These are 2 of the greatest punk songs of all time. It's a 7-inch with just 2 songs on it, so like literally it's side A versus side B. And Daniel, I know your answer, but let's go to you.
Well, this is a perfect 7-inch. You know, side A is wonderful, side B is wonderful. But I am choosing side A. We Got the Neutron Bomb. So I wrote a couple notes down. We Got the Neutron Bomb is basically perfect power pop influenced punk. The production is immaculate for the time, and it is just, if you want to look up what catchy is in the dictionary, this song maybe sat right there, you know, without it being cheesy. Side B, Solitary Confinement. I think it's much more punk than the poppiness of side A, even though it's still poppy and it's still catchy. I really love the way he hits the higher key as the percussion crashes on the choruses. Like, it's so cool, and it almost made me choose it, but We Got the Neutron Bomb wins for me, side A.
All right, Joe, let's go to you.
Joe, side B. I like that the more pure LA punkiness of Solitary. Let me rephrase that. What LA punk is gonna be? Because this is what, 78, 77?
78.
Yeah,
78.
So, you know, this is part of the blueprint, I think. Now, We Got the Neutron Bomb is a fantastic song, but it's more like this could be on, you know, the Clash self-titled or something that was going on at that time. How am I trying to say this? It belongs more in coming out of England than it does out of LA. So it's just not as genuine to me, I guess. Not to say that it's not, and it's a freaking great song. I'm not putting it down at all, but Solitary Confinement changes what punk on the West Coast becomes, I think.
Yeah,
That's all.
No one's putting anything down. I mean, I only chose bangers, you know, so everything's good.
Yeah.
I think that, Ben, I'm going to jump in and then I'll shoot it to you. You know, Daniel, how you're talking about that We Got the Neutron Bomb is popular. I think it's only popular like in the vocals, because like it is like he's writing like almost like a pop punk hit, you know, like it's catchy like that. But Solitary Confinement is actually like in the chords, it's more melodic, like like it's more melodic in that way, but less catchy in the vocal. Like there's not as much of a hook, but it's just so drivey and perfect and good. And I know I chose We Got the Neutron Bomb on my LA Super 7. I guess that's just because it's one of the best songs of all time and so catchy. And it just grabs you. Like, this recording for this year in this genre is fucking mind-blowing. And, like, for them to just hit those ring outs on We Got the Neutron Bomb, like, you just know what you're in for. Like it's just such an attention grabber. But I think song versus song, I'm going side B, Solitary Confinement. Ben, let's go to you.
Equally great songs. Can't go wrong with either one of them, but I'm going with We Got the Neutron Bomb. And I think maybe I'm more partial to that because that's the song I heard first. It was on a mixtape a friend of my dad's made for me when I was first getting into punk. So it was probably one of the first dozen punk songs I ever heard. And, but there's something about it, how the vocals come in. It almost sounds like wind being generated, like, and then when you hit those chords, it's like a bomb going off. I don't know what a neutron bomb exploding would look or sound like, but I just imagine like a big nuclear explosion, like bam, and it's just it's just this epic. It's epic. I know that that's an adjective that gets thrown around too much. Like iconic gets thrown around too much, but it's this massive, epic sounding song, and I don't think I can't think of any other record that really sounds like this record. I mean, musically, yeah, of course, it's right in there with the, early LA Danger House stuff, but kind of sonically, it's like they probably didn't spend a lot of money making this record, but it sounds so perfect and so huge that if I were there and I could find a way to just figure out okay, where was every microphone placed? Where was every knob? What was the setting on every knob? What was every amp that was used? Just all right, freeze, keep it there. All right, now let's just make 10 more records with this exact sound, before we fuck it up. That's what I would do.
Yeah,
but I'm going with Neutron Bomb.
Yeah, it's there was an intern in the studio, and they're at the studio where the Eagles recorded all their 70s records. And this dude is just sitting behind the shoulder of the engineer, learning how to record perfectly good radio sounding production style records. And some young kid is just soaking it all in. And then, the weirdos book an 8-hour block, and the engineer's just all right, Johnny, here you go, do your first record. This one doesn't matter. It's the fucking weirdos. He's I know everything. And they just got some fucking guy that knew how to do it properly. Cause you're right. Sonically, just nothing in this genre compares to this. In the era, it's so big and crazy. And Joe, I think it's interesting. You say Neutron Bomb kind of has a UK feel, because I wonder if it's more in the lyrics a little bit of the tongue in cheekness. It's a little, it's sarcastic, right? But I also think that's interesting that, you're saying that sonically Solitary Confinement is the basis of the Southern California punk sound. But then also on the LA Super 7, Ben was saying that vocally here, the Solitary Confinement, that nihilistic lyrical thing is also very unique to Southern California punk as well. It's almost side A, they got the lyrical SoCal, and then side B, they got the sonic SoCal, which is just very interesting.
I can see that.
Yeah. So yeah, again, we're tied. Jesus Christ, the people got to bail us out. Let's.
No, I don't think we're tied. I think Neutron Bomb 3-1, right?
Yes, 3-1.
Oh, my bad. I'm the loser over here. I thought Joe. I thought you went Solitary. No,
I did.
Yeah, so I'm Solitary too.
Did you go Neutron?
No, I went Solitary.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
See, Zach stabbed himself in the back from the Okay.
Yeah.
My bad.
Hey.
All right, we're tied again.
Just ask episode 1. I'm that trendy guy. I'm just floating in the breeze. All right. The fourth one I pulled. This was an idea after, again, on the Los Angeles Super 7. We talked about this some, but I thought it was interesting. It's the Black Flag, the Nervous Breakdown 7-inch. I think it's interesting because on side A, you have the song Nervous Breakdown, one of the greatest songs of all time. And on side B, you have 3 great Black Flag songs. So it's just Nervous Breakdown versus The Field. And so, Daniel, let's go to you on this.
The way I feel about this 7-inch is the bookends are the stars, or the bread are the stars of the sandwich, and the two pieces of vegetarian meat in the middle don't really count. So it's first song versus last song for me. And Nervous Breakdown is just a juggernaut. It just cannot be stopped. Like, the thing is, there are going to be people listening to this and they are sick of Nervous Breakdown because they've heard it 10 trillion times in their punk and hardcore, like, growing up, and they've heard bands cover it, they've heard all of this stuff, right? But imagine a world without that song.
Yeah.
No.
Ain't a world I want to live in.
I know.
You know?
That's the struggle with this. Because the side B is a banger, dude. I mean, Fix Me and
Of
Wasted
course.
are two of like the most classic Black Flag songs. It's like, I don't know if I can live without either of those either. But Nervous Breakdown is just, it's a notch above, dude. So it's like, that's why this is the ultimate one, I think, of taking Nervous Breakdown versus the field. You want Nervous Breakdown, or you want 3 sick Flag songs? Joe, let's go to you.
Nervous Breakdown. Side A. It's the alpha, the inception, the catalyst. Like you said, you can't go wrong with side B, but it's on its own side for a reason.
Yeah.
So
For time. Is that the reason? I don't know.
I mean, they could have made it a 33 and it would have fit. So no, it's not time.
No, they could make it a 78 and it would still fit.
Yeah.
Maybe you're right.
But yeah, it stands alone. The other songs are great, nothing wrong with them, but Nervous Breakdown.
To be honest, I can live without Fix Me and I've Had It. I can live without both of those. It's Nervous Breakdown versus Wasted, and Nervous Breakdown wins. So I agree with you, Joe. Like, it just cannot be ignored.
I'm almost triggered that you can live without Fix Me. I can't do it, dude. I'm taking the field. Fuck it. Nervous Breakdown is one of the greatest songs of all time. If it's rated, if I'm giving it a 10 as a perfect hardcore song, I'm still giving Fix Me and Wasted 8.5 or 9s. So they're adding up. And Desert Island, I'm taking 3 Flag songs over 1. I'm going side B. Ben, let's go to you.
I'd say Fix Me is like a 9.9. I've Had It as a 9.9 and Wasted is a 9.9. But Nervous Breakdown is a 10. So I'm going with Nervous Breakdown. This is the toughest one in the whole thing that is in this whole challenge, because it's like deciding between the best song on the record versus all the other songs, which are almost as good. But man, one perfect song does outweigh, to me, 3 almost perfect songs. And like, you have Keith going for the Johnny Rotten kind of sounding voice, Brian Migdal playing drums, who never plays on any other Black Flag record after this. And he's playing like this straight mid-tempo beat that you don't have with Robo. I know I'm just comparing this to other Black Flag records, but I like Nervous Breakdown is just one of those like songs for the ages. And I remember my old band Bad Reaction that I played guitar in. We did a show, and we normally just like play like chords and hit the drums to get people to come in the venue to know that like, okay, the next band has started, like we're about to play our songs. But I just started playing the intro to Nervous Breakdown one day, and people started running in because they thought we were covering it. And then our drummer just started playing it, and then we were covering it, and it was completely unrehearsed and unplanned, and everyone was singing along. And it was like, okay, the first song we're playing tonight is Nervous Breakdown, like completely not in the, not something we had intended to do.
I love
it's just
that.
like, I have these like great memories associated with Nervous Breakdown. It's kind of like it's like punk rock 101 and completely deserves to be this song. But I will say, Wasted on the B side, the Black Flag version of Wasted is better than the Circle Jerks version of Wasted. Would we all agree on that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So this is our first non-tie, right? Because we have 3. Zach, you're the loner on this one.
Yeah, I feel it. I've lived that way most of my life. It's okay. Yeah, I mean, like this. I think this was the hardest one. Although short fuse versus inside knowledge, that was rough for me too. But yeah. All right, let's go on to the next one. And the next one, this one registers real close to Daniel's heart. It's the Alone in the Crowd self-titled 7-inch. So, Daniel, let's go to you first.
This one hurts. This one really hurts. So, Is Anybody There is almost as perfect as a hardcore song can be, but When Tigers Fight is also almost as perfect as a hardcore song can be in a different, more aggressive manner. Is Anybody There is more pulling at the emotional, but it's still aggressive and amazing hardcore, but it's pulling at the emotional strings a little bit more, whereas When Tigers Fight is, it it has been covered a lot post 2002, 2003 for a reason. It's very negative, it's very tough. And, allegedly it was written about Jules writing about Richie, because apparently Richie was dogging him out or something, and he was like not going to take it anymore. And I don't know. Didn't Mandel tell us that like Richie caught up with him and handled that? I would never take on Richie Underdog. Let me just tell you that. I wouldn't take on anyone. I'm a pussy. Now, so we've got the 2 juggernauts as the bookends, right? And then the 2 songs, songs 2 and 3. So the first song on side B is perfect musically. Absolutely perfect musically. Now, lyrical content, it's kind of a bummer. Some of the lines in it, pretty misogynistic, even though it could be applied to any gender, I suppose, or but Commitment is absolutely a total banger, but doesn't live up musically as good as Who You Know. So this is where where the lyrics are going to win side A for me, because both the lyrical content of side A track 1 and side A track 2 are top notch and amazing, whereas the lyrical content on side B, even though the songs are absolutely perfect, and this band is this is one of my favorite 7-inches of all time, so this kills me having to pick. But the lyrics to Who You Know and the lyrics to When Tigers Fight can't compete with side A, so side A wins. There, I feel emotionally drained now, and we haven't even got to Unbroken.
Yeah. Oh, spoiler alert. So woke Daniel is going side A. 90s Daniel might have gone side B, but we'll never know. And Joe, let's shoot it to you.
All right. So I'm just going to read my notes here. I prefer side A. Side B is great. The Who You Know song has what really sounds like a Rat Pack riff to me. So I thought that was really cool. And I love the breakdown and call out part. But I just like the sound of the songs on side A better. They just resonated with me a little bit more. I didn't deep dive into lyrics, so I don't know about the misogynistic stuff or any of that other stuff Daniel was talking about. But just listening to the songs, I liked side A best. All
right, and Bedge, let's shoot it to you.
I think Is Anybody There is their best song. It's like so quotable. It's like if Repo Man were a hardcore song, like everything about it is quotable. it wasn't a game to me, So that already puts side A in the driver's seat. And then Commitment is also a really good song. It reminds me of Looking Back by Bold, although I think Commitment may have come first. So maybe it's Bold trying to sound like Alone in a Crowd. I don't know. Now we're moving on to side B. Who You Know is also a very good song, but the slut shaming thing has worn thin, just as Daniel mentioned earlier. When I first heard When Tigers Fight, I thought it was so awful that it was funny to me. When he says, ain't gonna be no bell to go ding, and then you actually hear a bell go ding at the moment he says ding. Like, I just thought, this is fucking ridiculous.
He hit the ride symbol.
Oh, it's the ride symbol? Well, it's kind of dingy.
Yeah.
But it seemed so macho and stupid to me, but I was totally fucking wrong. That song rules. I actually think back, like, how could I have thought this song wasn't good? And then also when he says, then we'll see who's weak, who's strong. That's awesome too. Side A still wins for me because Is Anybody There is just, it's up there with the best songs that Revelation Records ever did. I mean, they're in that family already, but it's just such a classic. I struggle with figuring out if I like which band between Side by Side and Alone in a Crowd I like more. But what were you saying, Zach?
Well, I was just going to say that I believe that the middle of the ride symbol, that part of the symbol is actually called the bell.
That's it.
So you guys are both right. just spreading that love. Okay. Is Anybody There? It's like Ben said. It's like right there with the greatest songs in the Rev catalog. When Tigers Fight, fuck. To do it's not even mid-tempo drivey. So it's like, it's a little more up-tempo than calling it a slow song. But for hardcore, I would consider this a slow song. And for any non-melodic hardcore band, like, you're not drop-tuned, you're not heavy, you have no melody. For you to pull off a good slow song, that shit is so fucking hard that, like, it elevates this song to the next level. And it's I don't know, a super iconic song. But Is Anybody There is one of the greatest songs of all time. I'm going side A as well. So I think this one is 4-0. First one.
I wish Commitment had, because they famously only played the one show. I wish Commitment had his intro that he does at the show into the song. It would make it even more iconic. Where he's like, if you are sick of people being straight edge one day and no edge the next, like, he does this, if you are sick, it's like almost like this political rant. And then he goes into the song. Oh, it's so fucking awesome. Look it up on YouTube, everyone.
All right, let's move on to the next one. This one, I chose one of the singles of one of the greatest bands of all time, Blitz, and it is Never Surrender, side A, Razors in the Night, side B, 7-inch. And Joe, let's toss it to you first.
Side A is what?
Never Surrender.
Yes, Never Surrender versus Razors in the Night.
Yeah. Okay. So I chose side AA, Razors in the Night. You better watch out for the Razors in the Night. I love that line. That was great. That's all I needed. Like, this wins.
All right.
The song is great. I loved it. It was fun. The other song is great too. It's just, I like this better. Yeah,
I chose the 7-inch because I thought it was, the same way that I'm going on and on about Alone in the Crowd pulling off a slow hardcore song. I thought that this was kind of awesome because this is an Oi band pulling off a pretty fast song in Never Surrender.
Right.
And so it's like, it's really standing out of the genre as like, oh shit, they wrote a rager, and like Never Surrender fucking rips. But I'll wait till last. Bedge, let's shoot this one to you.
There are bands that transcend their respective genres. You know how even if you hate, like people who hate heavy metal probably might still dig Black Sabbath, or people who hate straight edge hardcore. A lot of them still are into Minor Threat or Gorilla Biscuits. Well, I hate Oi and I love Blitz. Love Blitz. So this is definitely a band that transcends their respective genre. I think that these are both great songs, but it comes down to speed. That's kind of the main thing that differentiates these songs from each other. And Never Surrender rips. And I picture, when I hear the song, I picture a bunch of dudes with painted faces like running into battle, like Never Surrender, Braveheart style. And then the B side, this is like a little side story. I had this idea like 15 years ago of shooting a music video to this song, to this version of this song, where all these punks and skinheads are riding around in Razor scooters in the middle of the night while lip syncing to this song. And I had it all mapped out, like it would be shot in the industrial part of downtown LA, so there'd be no traffic. And the camera would be on the back of a truck driving away from the scooter, so they're facing the camera the whole time. And it would like start with one guy, and then like a bunch of people would join in. Like towards the end, it would be like dozens of people. And you know, I never really did it, but I thought it would have been a funny video for Raise. So every time I hear Raises in the Night, I have that video, that imaginary music video playing in my head of a bunch of like tough looking dudes riding around on Razor scooters. Still a good song. Never Surrender wins side A.
Daniel, let's go to you.
Backstreet Boys wear boots and braces, razor blades, and angry faces. Razors in the Night is a perfect song in the genre of punk, let alone in Oi. I love the guitar effect that they have, what pedal they're using or whatnot, that makes the sound so perfect. It is so catchy. The verses are catchier than the chorus, which I love. And you know what? The In Control cover is pretty damn amazing as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, we did this on the Plays They Hit 7-inch, and Ryan hits the greatest note I've ever heard in my life. You know, like, I don't know if you guys know, but I'm actually a pretty big fan of the second Adele record. You know, like, she's got a beautiful voice. And, man, when Ryan hits that note it's on the last verse, you know, it's like, 'cause violence is the only game you've been taught. Like, he just hits this fucking note, and it's beautiful. It's, like, better than Adele, you know? So, fucking love it.
Well, and also, let's just give props to Blitz for being the Mancunian Oi band. Like, almost all the Oi bands at the time were from down south. There was just Angelic Upstarts in the northeast and Blitz in the northwest. So, you know, got to give props to Blitz. They're the best. The best.
Yeah.
What about post-punk Blitz? You like that? Second Empire Justice?
I fucking love it. I really love it. But skinheads with mustaches look funny.
Yeah, so I'm going Side Raises in the Night. Although I got to bring up some old beef. Because remember, the reason why In Control covered this was because Daniel goaded us so hard. But we were supposed to have a trade. We were supposed to have a trade because you said if we covered this Blitz song, then I could choose a song over my body covers. And you guys were supposed to cover one of the songs off side A of the Burn 7-inch. You know, I thought Godhead might be too hard. So I was like, you can do Shall Be Judged, you know, whatever. Or no, I was like, Shall Be Judged might be too hard. You can do Godhead, you know, but what the fuck? You left me hanging. I've been waiting for that Burn cover my whole fucking life. You know, we did our part. Not only did we play it live, we put it on record.
I know.
That's fucked up.
Hey, my band were near the end were so like anti doing covers, and I was like, you know, we're a hardcore band, right? Like, this is what hardcore bands do. We do covers. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Also,
don't get me started now.
Okay. Yeah. The other thing is when In Control played Positive Numbers in 2002, Porcel was in a band that he sang for called Never Surrender.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they covered the song, and like no one knew it, and you could tell like he was bummed. You know, it's like here's my band's namesake. We're covering the song, and like it's like one of those things like two people are singing along. Like, oh, this is almost like worse than having no one sing along. You know, but
Real.
but yeah. So this one 3-1, Raises of the Night versus.
At least
If Daniel was down, he could have sung it a cappella by himself
true.
to do that bet. You know,
That is true.
At least if no one sings along, you can kind of pretend that it's your song, and people be like, "Oh, that first song was sick."
Right. That was true. All right, so we're taking a hard left turn from Blitz straight on to one of the most iconic hardcore 7-inches of all time. We're talking Earth Crisis Firestorm 7-inch. Joe, let's go to you.
yeah. I really like the guitar sound that Fred has. If you know the inside on that, then you get that joke. But side A drags. Yeah, that's okay. Side A drags. Side B is meh. There are some great parts, but nothing that grabs me throughout. Sorry, this just isn't for me. So I didn't even choose a side.
Oh,
I don't like this record.
Joe, I'm sending a drone with a neutron.
Boo.
I like the lyrics a lot of all the songs, because this is actually one that I read the lyrics on.
Well, then I think you should have to choose, because if everyone chose a 25 to Life song, you guys didn't like it. The part of the exercise is, even if you don't like it, find some merit in it and choose one side over the other.
I fucking hate this band.
Well,
So
there's
I'll
that.
choose side A.
All right, one for Firestorm. All right, well, don't mind us. We're gonna blow the 7-inch for a little bit, and
I know you will.
Daniel, let's shoot it to you.
Okay, I mean, this is a very important record to me for many reasons, but it's just fucking amazing, like, sounding. The dive bombs, guitar-wise, on Firestorm, the fact that it's just hitting open E as a riff and it becomes absolutely iconic. And the minute that's played in any venue, people will sprint to the stage to be doing fucking flips. Lyrically, I always enjoyed the seriousness that they took straight edge as a political choice. It is a little bit fantasy on in lyrical, you know, like drug dealers or edge breakers being demons and things like that. I can't not say side A, because it's Firestorm into Force in the Flames, and it is just like an absolute straight edge masterpiece. But side B, the interesting musicology that they do, like the way the riff comes in with the down. I don't know how. I don't have much music like knowledge of how they make the riff sound like almost down tune, like. But
Doing a little bend.
Yeah. With the it when it's paired with these absolutely incredibly written lyrics about basically white supremacy and manifest destiny of taking over America from Native Americans. It's really, really well thought out, and it's amazing, and it's a shame that it has to lose to the 2 versus 1, and the iconic music of both Firestorm and Force in the Flames. But I have to go with side A. But I absolutely ride infinitely for side B as well. And then on the mini CD that came in the little cardboard things,
you also got Eden's Demise, which is also an absolute amazing song too.
Ben, let's go to you.
Wait, so Dan, you're side A?
Yeah, Firestorm, Forge in the Flames. Yeah.
Well, my answer is jun 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 jun. There, that's my answer. I hate what this song did to hardcore music, and if I could go back in time and erase this record's existence so that it didn't do the damage that it did, I would. But Firestorm is still an undeniable song. It would have to be in order to change an entire genre of music the way it did. You know, this is what turned everything into metal. And it's like, it fucking sounded great the first time the first band did it, which is right here. I mean, they're not the first metalcore band ever, but I'm saying Integrity. This is Integrity, yeah, but this was a big deal. Like, there's no denying it. This was a really big deal. And it's just such an awesome song. And it took me a while to warm up to it back in the 90s. But I loved, it's almost like DYS meets Dungeons and Dragons. You know, it's like, let's be as over the top straight edge as a band like DYS was, but then also, yeah, mix some fantasy into it as well. And I love Forged in the Flames of Chaos, hammered by trust to a tempered steel. And the seamless transition between those two songs with the drums. There's a demo that predates this that came between the All Out War 7-inch and the Firestorm 7-inch, and it has all these songs on it, plus like 3 more that never got re-recorded. And it's really bad. I mean, it's badly recorded, so they did the right thing by re-recording it and having it sound really good on this record. But there's like 3 songs that are just like pointless. Like, they just sound like they wrote separate lyrics to the same songs all over again. Like, they just still they're just more chuggy. Like, it's redundant, and so I think they fixed what the redundancies, instead of just, you know, some bands will just put out like every song they ever wrote, and then you end up having all these songs that sound the same. So they had enough foresight not to do that. And then I also love the B-side, the Unseen Holocaust. But the song is the one that's on side A, and that's Firestorm. So side A for me.
I think that Unseen Holocaust is the best Earth Crisis song, musically and lyrically. It is fucking untouchable. Like Daniel talking about how it comes in with like the bends and so forth. And then Carl's voice is just out of this world when he comes in on the demons. Demons! Like, holy fuck. Has like a yell ever sounded that good? No. Never before and never after. Like, that's the fucking GOAT setting the standard of like coming in and just like, I'm here. Like, this is like the authority. I'm the fucking front man, and I got something to say. Like, oh my God, it's so fucking good. That said, with all of the nervous breakdown talk, again, it's just like, I don't know if I want to live in a world without Firestorm. You know, I can go years without listening to this record, and then sometimes I'm just like, I gotta hear Firestorm. I gotta put it on. You know, and it's the Raining Blood ripoff, like everyone knows, but like they're just taking a section of a fucking great song and like turn it in to like their own. And, you know, Daniel, you're saying like Integrity's first, and of course you're right, but Integrity's playing kind of like just straight metal, like in the formation of the song, like the structure of the song, like they're just doing metal. It's like metal and hardcore, but it's still like fast, you know, I don't know. This is like full on, it slows down. They're creating like an entire genre. And, you know, with Ben, I was never a fan of this genre like after this, but this is so fucking undeniable. Like, to have that voice and then to write lyrics like so catchy on Firestorm, and to write lyrics like so deep and good on Unseen Holocaust. And then the other thing with talking about how influential this is, bridging like Firestorm to the second song, like that's an iconic part too, because that whole like working the toms, like having that be like, a huge thing, that is like that 90s metalcore. Like all those toms are and a ring out, and then like then you go to the verse or whatever. But like
the tempo change too, like the gradual tempo change is iconic and ripped off countlessly after.
Yeah, it drops a little bit when it comes in, like the forward in the face of chaos, and then going into the chugs. Oh, in the flames of chaos, whatever. I was
the name of the song.
I was riding for the lyrics on the fucking Unseen Holocaust, dude. Yeah.
They are incredible.
Song 1 and 3 get it for me. I gotta go Firestorm though. I'm going side A. I can't live without it. Even though I do think that Unseen Holocaust is the best Earth Crisis song.
And you're 100% right that Carl never sounded as amazing as he does on this 7-inch.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, what the fuck happened, man? He turned into like garbledygook, like on all those albums that came after this.
I don't think you're knocking Carl versus Carl. It's that no one sounded like this ever again. Like whatever was in the air that night.
But he knew how to sound like that at once, and it was a success. Why wouldn't he stay? I don't know. I just wish he kept singing like that. I would actually be able to tolerate some of the records, some of the songs on the later records.
He's belting so hard, dude. Like you physically.
They also downtuned.
Let me finish. He's like physically belting so hard, like you can't do that physically. Like you have to like find where your voice is, like not everyone is like Scott Vogel who can like maintain this perfect yelling voice like his entire life, into his 40s. Like I think that he physically can't do this. Like, he did it this night when he recorded this and it's totally insane. But like at some point you have to find a voice that you can like do consistently. And I just don't think that this is like an attainable voice to do, like some other, like the first singer of One King Down, like he had a great like yelling voice like this as well, but he didn't like sing as many words as this. It could kind of be like he waits and then he can do like a giant yell, but this is like Carl doing it like in a sustained amount of time, like over and over. Like I physically don't think that you can sing like this. And I think that's why he might have changed his voice a little bit, Daniel, sorry, you're saying he downtuned and it changed it a little bit?
No, I'm saying the band went to much lower tunings, like for subsequent recordings after this. So they embraced being metal more and more with each record, What he does so well on this vocally is like it can be seen on Forged in the Flames. It's like forged in the flames of chaos, and then he takes a step back, hammered by truth too, and I don't know, he bounces around, whereas it makes his yells even that more impactful. So when everything is just lower and whoa, later on, it doesn't have any power compared to this.
So you don't like any of the other records, Daniel?
I like Destroy the Machines, and I like a couple of songs on Gomorrah Season Ends, but after that, they lost me.
What about For the Fetus, For the Cat, For the Cow, For the Rat?
All Out War, that's up there with Firestorm 7-inch for me. Firestorm's just a touch ahead, but I love his voice, and I love the sound of Earth Crisis on All Out War even more, with the like Ben Reed like backups of the like I love that stuff. It's amazing, and I wish some band could recapture that and do it right, where it would instantly grab me. But it was a moment in time. I don't think it.
Yeah.
I don't, because it was the fact that they were playing with bands like Still Life and other bands like that. So it was what it was. I don't think that can, unless you really go into a lab like the is it Future meme? Oh, this sounds just like 1990 92 Syracuse, drop it. Other than that, I don't think anyone could catch it, you know?
Right. Yeah, I totally agree.
All Out War is so of the time. I don't.
Yeah.
It's just one of those records that nothing sounds like it before or after, and you know, it's really rad for what it is. Okay,
Yeah.
So that one we all agreed again. Firestorm side A. Let's go on. The next one is going to be Hatebreed, Under the Knife, and this is fucking great. So this is Smash Your Enemies and Kill an Addict versus Under the Knife and Filth. And Daniel, let's shoot it to you.
Whew. Now, I wish the recording was better, you know, but goddamn, when this came out, it might have even been at the time. I was like, God, that's too hard. That's so fucking hard. It's too hard. So, I mean, Kill an Addict is unbelievably hard. You're like so glad that Jamie Hatebreed wasn't running any like rehab programs in the Connecticut area. Oh, just kill an addict. And Smash Your Enemies is probably the prototypical what is the Hatebreed sound after a bit more, but I like side B better. Under the Knife, the fast upbeat break, I fucking love it. The down, like the kind of bend notes that you were talking about earlier that it has in it. And then Filth, I think that has the most ignorant mosh part of all time. Like the negative space, the weird like high snare, and almost like calypso beat to the hardest mosh part ever. It's like it's so fucking crazy. So if I was gonna, I mean, out of all four songs, Smash Your Enemies is my least favorite, and Kill an Addict might be the favorite, but I'm going with I really love side B over side A just because it's like, you know, say if the record was a 5, it's like side B gets a 3 and side A gets a 2, you know? So it's kind of split like that for me. So I'm going side B.
Joe, shoot it to you.
Yeah, I got side B as well. I agree with Daniel. The Under the Knife song just grabbed me the most. I like the lyrics. It seems like it's kind of like an anti-suicide song, but you know, it's you know how lyrics are sometimes when they're mysterious, you know, sometimes. But it sure seems that that's kind of like what it's about. I could be way off on that, but that's what it seems like to me. I really like the song. It's got it's like Daniel said, it's got that speed in parts, and you know, it's got a good feel. Side A is great too, though. I really like all four of these songs, which is surprising because I had never thought that I liked Hatebreed, but I like these songs. So you converted me.
Yeah, Ben, let's go to you.
This was the first record I ever reviewed, and here I am reviewing it again. I actually wrote record reviews briefly in the 90s for Heart Attack, and this one came over the table, and I had never heard of Hatebreed before, and I, you know, took it back to my dorm room or wherever I was living at the time, and I, you know, compared it to Integrity for some reason. I think maybe because Integrity was just kind of like the stand-in for metallic hardcore or metalcore. Like they were the most notable band from that genre, and it's like, oh, this is metal sounding, like Integrity, and like listening to it again today, like doesn't sound anything like Integrity. What a terrible review! But the main difference is Integrity is good, and this sounds worse than 25 to Life sounds to me, which actually surprises me. I thought I would like 25 to Life even less than this, but I think this is exceptionally bad, and I'm gonna say side B wins because it means the record is almost over.
Lisa Oglesby would have never shit on this record like that, dude. That's all I gotta say.
Oh no, the review was pretty fair. It actually, I was like, this isn't my cup of tea, but it's pretty good. Like something like that.
Yeah, you know, the recording on this is notoriously bad, but it gives so much character to it. It's just like the fact that this is like the origin story of what would become Hatebreed is like insane. And these songs are so fucking good. Like no one can do this. Like no one ever did it again. It's just this, you know, this 7-inch, the songs of the era, like the split 7 inches, you know, the demo, which I believe is just an extended version of this, and then the first LP. It's just so untouchable. I think the best two songs are the first two. But I do love that the second side it's got a little more YOLO feel, like Filth doing the whole full scissor beat, you know, just going like raging fast. Like it's a nice take because, you know, only taking in 4 of these songs, you're like, fuck, what is this band all about? Like, it's just the most insane music I've ever heard. Like, what is it? Are they like metalcore? Are they like gonna go grindcore? Like, what the fuck? Like, just where they could have gone is like endless. But the songwriting on the first two, Smash Your Enemies is a perfect song. You know, like when they're doing like the cutouts and the singing for the build up to the breakdown is like some of the most classic, like modern hardcore shit ever. And then Killing Addict, like a lot of heavy bands, when they do like the Youth Crew beat, like the do do da do 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 da do 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 da with like the heavy guitar over it is like one of the most underrated things in hardcore, I think. Like those two just come together. Like heavy ass guitar over like the generic Youth Crew tom beat. Like somehow those things have like this unholy marriage that just like works so good. And you know, this is Jamie's like early lyrics are fucking amazing. You know, like tried to help you, but you spit in my face. So now you're on your own. Like fuck, it's just so good. And you know, and then doing that beat and then like dropping into like the metal mosh. It's ill. I'm going side A. These are two of my favorite songs of all time. I think these are two of the best Hatebreed songs ever, which means they're two of the greatest songs in the history of music. So side A. And
well, what do you think? Like my evaluation of the vocals on Smash Your Enemies is that I feel, you know, how that's the most like Hatebreed-ish going forward, the way his vocals are. But I don't feel like, I think he's trying a little bit too hard on this recording of that, whereas he seems a bit more natural on the other 3 songs. You know, he's doing more than like excessively on the Smash Your Enemy song, and that's kind of why it misses a little bit for me compared to the other 3.
Yeah, but he's like demoing something that he would perfect on the LP.
Oh, of course,
right?
of course. But we're just evaluating the 7-inch.
No,
That's why.
I feel you.
That's why side B. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I can feel that a little bit, but I just think that like this is a template of like what is to come, and I'm like, yeah, I like that. Give me an LP's worth, and then they did, you know. And it's like, oh fuck, this stuff is untouchable to me. And like, I don't know, this is a fun episode because I think we're kind of all over the place, and a lot of that goes with like my selections, you know, like anything from the weirdos to this Hatebreed 7-inch.
Dan, what does this Hatebreed record do for you that the 25 to Life record we talked about not do for you? Like what makes this good and that one not good?
What I think is interesting is that you would kind of lump them together, whereas I feel the Hatebreed one is, it knows exactly what it's doing musically. It is taking what would be referred to as old school hardcore and providing such an aggressive metallic edge, but still making sure every part is hardcore. Do you know what I mean? Like Zach said, there's the Youth Crew tom beat that is just eviscerated by the hardest like metallic riff over the top. Whereas the 25 to Life one sounds amateur compared to this. Even though this recording's not very good, the band knows exactly what they're doing, and they are taking a step into. They're like Venn diagramming, like between old school like NYHC and Integrity and Beyond, like Metal Beyond, and they're like riding in the middle of that Venn diagram, you know?
Right. Yep.
Yeah, I mean this is like literally it's taking Youth of the Day and Sick of It All and meshing it with Entombed and Suffocation. Like it's just it's the marriage of those two. And Ben, the reason why people like this more than the 25 to Life is because it has fast parts, right? And that's what gives it that more old school feel as well. Like these songs
and
are
way better.
Yeah, they're fast and short. Where like the 25 to Life 7-inch I chose, like all those songs, none of them have a fast part. You know, so it can sound a little bit more droning. Although I do think that the reason why some of that 25 to Life stuff sound like, I think that there's enough like tempo changes and they hit the tempos that I like. And I think Rick does do some catchy things. That's what makes it stand out to me outside of like, I'm not a fan of 90s metalcore really. You know, that's why those two bands stand out for me. But yeah, again, moving on to something completely different again. We're going way back, early Boston. That's the Last Right 7-inch. One side Chunks, one side is So Ends the Night. And Ben, let's go to you first.
This is the most famous band that only ever played one show. And they, Alone in a Crowd, shared that honor with them, but then Alone in a Crowd blew it by doing a reunion last year. So that means they played two shows. So Last Rites is the most famous band that has only ever played one show. But I love the song Chunks. And what's funny is Dinosaur Jr. covered the song Chunks in the mid or late 80s. And there's a CD that compiles their early singles that SST put out. And my girlfriend will sometimes listen to it in the car. And she is not in any way interested in hardcore music. And it's funny just being in the car with her while she's listening to Chunks, because it's like, not only is it hardcore music, but it's like really hardcore. And the Dinosaur Jr. song is very true to the original. They didn't, it's very similar. They didn't really change it much. So that's funny. And this song is like, it's like a great early example of chunky hardcore, which is definitely where hardcore ends up going in the 90s or even the late 80s, at least in New York. And so the story behind how it got its name is, it's like the song goes chunk, 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 chunk. So they were just like, oh, chunks. It was just like an easy way for the people in the band to just like write out set lists and know what song they were talking about. You know, the one time they ever wrote out a set list, they could write chunks. So When's Our Night is okay to me. The lyrics aren't that great, and I'm not a fan of those backup vocals.
Well, you don't like Oi.
So Chunks win. Yeah, that's probably it. You're right, because Choke is a big Oi guy, and obviously he did Stars and Stripes, which is like fully, working that Oi angle. So I'm going with Chunks side A.
Joe, let's toss it to you.
Was that to me? Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I prefer Chunks as well. So side A. I just like the song better. So Ends Our Night was good, but Chunks was definitely better. And Ben pretty much said everything else that I was gonna. So I'll wrap that up.
All right, Dan, I'm gonna shoot it to you, but you got to mention the Coca-Cola line, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get psyched on that stuff. What's interesting about this is around this time period, they were contemporaries with what was going on across the Atlantic with Oi. It's around the same time period that all the Oi bands were recording. Well, obviously, Cock Sparrow were the first iteration of Cock Sparrow were much earlier, but the business had probably only put records out like 2 years before this record's being recorded. Like, so it's really interesting that, Choke being a skinhead is bringing such an Oi vibe into hardcore. And it sounds fucking rad. I love the hard intro. That is so rock, yet so hardcore at the same time. for Chunk, and his cadence is very, oi related. But hear me out. So Ends Our Night is my favorite of this, and it is just basically a hardcore oi song. It's got the backups that Ben hates, but it's got those party style backups where it's like the whole crew is in the studio like drinking and going crazy if you're an oi band. But the best part is they're all in there drinking Coca-Cola and moshing it up. But the thing that I think is the most interesting about this song is lyrically and tempo and topic, it's completely, New York Crew completely rips it off. The Judge song completely rips what this song is saying. And then Judge has the line, Boston came around one night, which is so funny because now that I've really listened to this song getting ready to record this over the last thing, it's about like the night ending and like getting into trouble with rival crews. And listen to the tempo of that's being sung, and then listen to New York Crew after this, and you'll be like, holy fucking shit. Like a little bit of the curtain is pulled back a bit. I feel I could be completely just making this up in my own head. We'd have to ask Mike Judge, but listen to this and then listen to New York Crew and be like, the emoji with the scratching chin. So I go side B, So Ends Our Night.
Both these songs are bangers. Another 2 songs, 7-inch. And it's like, God. Yeah, So Ends Our Night. This is like so early for Choke. And he does in So Ends This Night what he does so great. And that's like put together a verse where you're like rocking along to it, but then he's so fucking witty, he like grabs you and pulls you out of it. It's like that Coca-Cola line, like, Coca-Cola, we don't drink no booze. No way. And it's like, it's like he has this way of just grabbing you in verses with his wit, so it's like you can rock to it or you can like dig into it. And that's one of the things I love the most about a lot of styles of music when they're executed at the highest level. It's the same reason why I love hip hop, and it's the same reason why I love reggae. Like, both those styles, they sound great to have them in the background, but then like the best shit is there for if you want to dig into it on the next level. There's this whole other layer there of brilliance, like lyrically being so good. And a dude like Choke, it's so intentional. It's like the same thing. It's like, you want to just rock out and slam to So Ends Our Night, or do you want to like dial into like this witty lyricism that like, he's one of the best at. At the same time, Chunks is just one of the greatest songs of all time. Like it just, the way it comes in with like, the Chunk guitar and then the singing, like the lyrics with it, like it's just one of those songs where you want to grab like 2 buddies around the shoulders and like storm the stage and sing along. Like, I don't know how many other songs give me that feeling more of like just wanting to grab someone and be like, we're singing this one, like we're going up front, like that. This is like the soundtrack to grabbing a buddy and like storming the stage. So I got to go Chunks. Although, God, both these songs are so good. So go ahead, Daniel.
I was going to say, I love how the way he's doing the vocals on So Ends Our Night is such like a precursor to Hang Up Your Boots. Like,
yes,
you can hear where he's going to develop like that kind of tuneful growl, that he nails completely on Slapshot,
Agreed.
I'd like to add something. If you're a fan of Negative Effects and Last Rites, and you wish those 2 bands were smashed together and existed in modern times, I would recommend listening to the band Restraining Order. Are any of you hip to Restraining Order?
Yeah.
Yep, they made top LPs of 2019.
Boom.
They made my top LP of 2019. That shit rules.
Yeah.
Hopefully one day I'll see them.
I know that band rips. Shout out Restraining Order. Okay, let's go on to, we got 2 left, dudes. And this one is going to hit close to Daniel again, so we'll go to him last. But we're going to do the Unbroken and Fall on Proverb 7-inch. And Joe, let's shoot it to you.
Ooh, boy. This is tough. Probably not as tough as what Daniel's going to have to go through, but I chose Fall on Proverb side, whatever side that is. I can look that up real quick. B. I chose side B. I love the movement of the song. I love that fucking bass guitar. That tone is fucking second to none. Sounds so good. The overall playing has a certain aggressiveness. The song "And" is great, but I just like "Fall" better. So I'm going with "Fall on Proverb," and I love those lyrics too. So that's what I got.
Hell yeah, Ben. Let's shoot it to you.
The first time I ever saw Unbroken was the first time I ever went to the Showcase Theater in Corona in the summer of '95. And it was also the first time I ever heard Unbroken. And my friend who had never heard them either says, they look like rockabillys. I bet they'll play rockabilly music. And I said, nah, I bet they'll just play metal like everyone else. And they started playing and I was like, I was fucking right. They are playing metal like everyone else. But I do remember the song that had the lyric, "My hands are open," that they would sing over and over again. I was like, that song is fucking great. And people were losing their shit the whole time, but especially to that song. And then, a year, maybe not even a year goes by, and I become a huge Unbroken fan. And the band's already broken up at this point. And then I find out, okay, that's the song "Fall on Proverb." So that's the first Unbroken song I ever liked. And then, to like a youth crew kid, that was the song that kind of resonated with me. And when I got to see them the next time, that was at that reunion show after Eric Allen, their guitarist, passed away in San Bernardino in 1998. And I remember them, they were doing a moment of silence for Eric, and then Dave Claiborne looks around and he just goes, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then they break into the song and I'm like, and that song is great too. And I always think of that moment. So 2 great songs, can't go wrong with either one. I'm going Fall on Proverb. I love the toggle switch action and the super fast part towards the end. That's my choice. It's just it's a faster tempo hardcore song.
Yeah, I think the "And" is a really good song, but I think "Fall on Proverb" is a great song and one of the best Unbroken songs. It has so much of what makes them a special band, down to like the little guitar toggle that Bedge was talking about. And then the greatest, most brilliant part of the song is like their anti-breakdown, like where if they were following like the formula of a normal hardcore song, they would go to a breakdown, but instead they go to like the rage beat. It's just like, and it's like, that really like sums up Unbroken. Like they're following like where the emotion takes them. They're not following like a formula. And that part being in there instead of like a slower tempo change just elevates the song to like a different level. It just grabs me every time that it goes there. Like it never stops feeling crazy to me, even though I know it's coming. It's still just like, like, I don't know. It might be my favorite part in an Unbroken song. And yeah, so I'm going Fall on Proverb, side B. Daniel, let's go to you.
I think you just summed up something about Unbroken so perfectly. Like, hats off to you for, like, they do, like, these songs and this era of Unbroken, this 7-inch, Life, Love, Regret, and the final 7-inch are in one corner, and then the other Unbroken stuff is in the other. And they found themselves from Life, Love, Regret, then on recording this, and then the other 7-inch. Like, you're right. The emotion drives everything, and that rage beat that you talk about, and then it drops to just the bass, it feels like you're going to lose your fucking mind. And then the frantic screaming of "My Hands Are Open" that everybody, if you're in that building, is going to participate in, because when it's just the bass and then the guitar wah, 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 comes back in, and just, it is pure emotion. Now, and is like controlled, bottled up emotion, I feel. It's got the like talky parts that don't sound like anyone else. When other hardcore bands do the talky parts, it's like, yeah. Unbroken somehow captures those talky parts and makes them so dynamic and so amazing. And then when he comes in with the more aggressive style vocal after it, with when the music's been kind of muted and restrained, and then it all breaks apart for the verses, and then it goes even fucking maniacal for the "and" ending, is just, it's almost like, and it's matched by the lyrics, where it's like a person trying to keep their emotions within themselves and, not share and not overstate themselves, and it's like pulling one string of yarn and it all starts unraveling. I feel "and" is like that, like emotionally, it's like, all right, I'm trying to hold this in, and oh my God, you got me talking, and now I'm telling you how you've hurt me, how I am hurt by the world, and it just explodes. And I think it's an incredible song, but Fall on Proverb slightly edges it. Like you say, the feedback intro with the quicksand-esque toggle switch usage into the everything dropping out, and the most incredible bass tone and riff, for that matter, just sitting by itself, and then it all comes crashing in again, and it is probably the fastest Unbroken song, I would say, out of all of them. And I think the songwriting is supreme, and Fall on Proverb wins over, Fall on Proverb gets a platinum medal while and gets a gold medal.
Yeah, so we're unanimous. I think this is only the second one that we're unanimous on. Great record, and let's go into the last one. The last one I chose is the Bad Religion self-titled 7-inch, which is 1981, and I believe Epitaph Records #1, correct, Bedge?
Correct. First record Epitaph ever put out.
Yeah, man. So this one is the song Bad Religion, Politics, and Sensory Overload versus Slaves, Drastic Actions, and World War III. And Ben, let's go to you first.
So I just read the book, which is really good. It's called Do What You Want, The Story of Bad Religion. That was written by Bad Religion with Jim Ruland. Very good book, just came out. And so I have a little background on this one, and there's some fun stories about this record. The first time they ever practiced together, Greg Graffin brought the song Politics to the practice, fully written music and lyrics, and Brett brought the song Sensory Overload, fully written music and lyrics. So those are the first two Bad Religion songs ever, and that's kind of the way they ran the band ever since, which is, Greg will write an entire song and Brett will write an entire song, and it'll be about 50-50 in the songwriting. And then the other thing is that another fun fact is Epitaph is named after a King Crimson song called Epitaph, which is like the last band you think of when you think of Bad Religion, unless you're thinking of Into the Unknown, in which case it makes a little bit more sense. But and then the other thing that kind of surprised me from reading the book is that I learned that they recorded this EP before they ever played a show, which is something that like a lot of procore type of bands that already have like guys who are known in the scene might do. Like a World Be Free or something, you might imagine a band like that, like recording a whole record before ever playing a show, but like these were like high school kids who had no idea what they were doing, so they just didn't know the order in which like a normal band would like go about, playing shows and making records. So they make this record. They hate the way it ends up sounding, and I actually pulled a quote from Flipside number 25 from 1981, where they're interviewed in it, and Brett says, "The sound, we weren't all that happy with the sound of it. The studio really fucked us over. We don't like the studio. The mix isn't that good. The voice sounds like it's underwater or something." Then their drummer Jay says, "We owe that to real life studios in Agora. Don't anyone go there." So I don't know if real life studios ever got any more work out of from punk bands after that. I haven't looked into that yet, but
no, they all went to West Beach.
well, that's the studio that Brett ended up establishing. That's right. So that comes a little later. But the standout tracks to me are the song "Bad Religion," the song "Slaves," and the song "Drastic Actions." And all those songs were re-recorded for that public service comp that came out, I think, in '81, like a year later. So that means I would think that the band themselves also agree that those are the three best songs from the 7-inch. Otherwise, they would have re-recorded other, Sensory Overload or something like that. So I'm going to go with side B just because it has Slaves and Drastic Action. Side A only has Bad Religion between those three standout tracks. So side B for me.
Joe, let's shoot it to you.
I'm going with side A, just because of Bad Religion in itself, that song. All the songs are great, but that's just I don't know. I'm not going to say the standout, but it certainly carries on more than the others. I don't know. Yeah. I'm going to stick with side A, but because of Bad Religion, because of that song. So I'll just leave it at that. I'm looking at the artwork, and they don't even mention the studio, Ben, that they recorded at. So on the actual artwork, anywhere they say where it's mastered, and they say all that other stuff, but they don't say where they recorded it. So that's pretty funny that they you mentioned that they say don't go to this place, and
yeah. And I think in the book, the studio's not even mentioned by name either. So like just this issue of Flipside where they talk shit on it.
Yeah, that's kind of funny.
It's kind of funny too because it's like 16-year-old kids never played a show and go in and they're like, the studio fucked us, man. It's like, well, you probably didn't. I mean, like it's not like you've worked out your sound that much, Like I don't know.
I mean, it wasn't going to sound great regardless. I think so, but that's a good way to deflect anybody saying, "Oh, it sounds terrible." Well, it's because the studio,
Yeah, they should have got.
But I think it sounds punk as fuck. So I love it.
Yeah, Daniel, what's your call?
So I think it's pretty boring, except for the really, really high highs of Bad Religion and Drastic Action. I love Bad Religion. I love that, I suppose, pre-chorus or build-up to chorus that sounds so 60s Who Kinks, like almost. The really melodic part before it gets to the chorus, that I really love that. Drastic Actions is fucking super good. And World War III was so ripped off by Unwritten Law. I don't know if you've ever heard their song World War III, but being a San Diegan, you can't help but Unwritten Law has pervaded the punk scene when I was first getting in, going to shows there. I gotta go with side A though. The bands that have a song named after what the band's name is. I mean, those are great bands that do that. So, I got to go with Bad Religion, side A.
Yeah, sure.
And what's funny about you saying that World War III by Unwritten Law sounds like World War III by Bad Religion is that, let's see if I'm right about this. I might not be. Unwritten Law were produced by Greg Graffin, who wrote the song World War III by Bad Religion. But it's not the same record. Damn.
Oh no, this is their first LP called The Blue Room, which they recorded at Nesta Studios, where a young Swindle went in right after. And Nesta Studios had a bong welded to the mixing desk.
Yeah, Swindle went in right after Unwritten Law, and just like Bedge talking about the weirdos, they're like, don't move a single mic. We want to sound exactly like that Unwritten Law record. That's the blueprint.
One time when we did play Soma, Len, the infamous Len of Soma, comes up and intros Swindle with, San Diego, I present to you the next Unwritten Law. Swindle. We were like, oh no.
Yeah.
So there you have it.
That was the second most shameful moment of Daniel's life until Joe said that he sounded like Fat Mike 26 years later.
Yep.
All
Just
right.
kill me.
Okay,
Just fucking kill me.
so I listening to 7-inch is interesting because I don't ever really listen to it by itself. It was on the 8085 where it gets lumped in with the first LP and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, these songs, they don't stand out too much to me. My favorite, first off, I like the Suffer. I like the four or five albums in that chunk. Maybe Suffer through Recipe for Hate the most, more so than the older Bad Religion stuff. I think the best song on here is Slaves, like by far. It's just the super, super drivey, kind of in the way that like Best for You off Suffer is, like that beat. Everybody knows what's best for you. Everybody knows what's best for you. And they hit it here. I think Slaves is a great song. I think that the song Politics sounds the most like what they would turn into later on Suffer. Like that's a song that just almost straight could have been on Suffer. I think the most interesting part of any song is like the transition right before the choruses on Sensory Overload, like the I don't know why, da ba da da ba da da. I don't know why, da da ba da da. Like that part is ill, but I still think the best thing on here is the song Slaves. So I'm going side B, and that's my answer. So this one's split down the middle, 2 side A, 2 side B. And I had fun doing this process. What do you guys think about this? Ben?
Yeah.
Good excuse to talk about good records.
Yeah.
Or great records. Great records in some cases. Terrible records in others. But, mostly great records.
Yeah. Joe, how do you feel about this process?
Yeah, it was definitely fun. I'm really glad that, I listened to all the tracks, even though I couldn't stomach some of them.
Same.
Yeah. But I gave it my all, and it I got turned on to something. So it was worthwhile for me. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Daniel, what do you think?
I love talking hardcore. So even when I'm getting yelled at for it, I loved it. I think it's another thing that we can really chop up, and I also really look forward to people who listen putting their 2 cents in, because I love the discussion getting wider and wider and bigger with if people share their opinions with us and what they'd like to hear talked about also. Like I just love this shit. So yeah, yet another winner for me.
Yeah, I hope that everyone sends us the ones that you want us to do. Like, put it on the social media, or you can always email me, 185milessouth@gmail.com. Let us know what records you want to do. The one thing I would say is just if it's on Spotify, it's better because then, everyone can listen to it. If it's obscure, I left some stuff off that I couldn't find because this playlist will be posted today. So everyone can go in and listen to all these tracks and chime in with what you think is better. So if you have suggestions, maybe take a look if it's on Spotify or if it's easy to find on the internet, just so everyone can participate. That's all I'd say. Because, yeah, there was some that I was like looking at. Like, I wanted to do a Pagan 7-inch. I love that band a lot. One of my favorite Clevo bands. And the 7 inches, like, they've done a lot of like kind of comp stuff there where they pull stuff together, and was like, I couldn't piece together any of the records I wanted to do. So I left it off this list.
You would Dead in America? Is that the one you want to do?
I wanted to do What's This Shit Called Love and Street Where Nobody Lives. But I think that like I checked like 3 of them and I couldn't get like a total 7-inch of any of them. But I could be wrong.
Right.
I could be wrong. Is there anything like that you guys especially want to do that's like jumping off the edge, like just brainstorming right now? Or nothing in the wheelhouse? I'll just pull it all together again.
What do you mean for side A versus side B?
Yeah.
I suggested some to you when we were talking about this, and you said you'd already dialed it in. But if we can, I can go back and look at what I'd suggested.
Yeah, I was just curious if like you had one that like was, that jumped out to you that's like a no-brainer, like a Faith Void or a Weirdos.
Yeah, Age of Quarrel. I feel to dissect A versus B will be really interesting, personally.
Yeah, we can do some LPs, and we'll just do less. Because we got a lot in here, but a lot of that is because it's a two song 7 inches. Joe, what were you going to say?
About the sorry. I was going to say, how about the Minor Threat record that has the 2 7s on either side, right?
Yeah, we can jump into everything. What, the last 7-inch?
No, not. Sorry.
Oh, you're saying the LP? We choose if it's first Minor Threat 7-inch or MIs.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be a good one too. I think that's
the first LP is the 2 7-inches, right? And
that's right.
There's nothing else on that. I'm trying to remember now because
you're right.
All I have left is discography, which is everything all together. So I'm trying to in my head like place. Well, wait a minute, that's these. Yeah, but yeah,
that'd be good. First Minor Threat versus second Minor Threat. Ben, you got anything?
Any excuse to talk about Minor Threat? I'm into that.
Yeah, right, man. All right, well, let's wrap this up. Everyone, send me your suggestions, 185 miles south at gmail.com. Make sure that you pre-order that Retaliate LP, or I'm going to quit the podcast if it doesn't sell through the first, if we don't sell that first press, fucking no more pod. But, handle business, and we will talk to you soon.